When I talk to CIOs, I tend to ask them three questions. The first thing I like to ask is, what did you inherit, right? You're a new CIO, what kind of organization did you inherit? And 99% of the time, literally, what they say is, it's a mess. I inherited a mess. The IT organization, they're order takers. There's no project management discipline. There's no project prioritization capability. The business does not have a lot of faith in IT to deliver. And the IT organization is both demoralized and entitled, which I always find that to be an interesting combination. What is going on that these strong executives are failing over and over again? And that started to vex me. So I thought and thought and thought about it, and I came up with the answer, which is IT leadership is beset by a set of contradictions, contradictory forces. I call this set of contradictory forces the CIO Paradox. Successful CIOs, of which there are many, manage through these paradoxes. The paradoxes don't go away. They manage through them. But unsuccessful CIOs are felled by the paradox. At many different conferences, I'll refer to an IT project, and a CIO will stand up and they'll say, there are no IT projects. In my company, we have business projects. They may have an IT component to them, but they're not IT, they're business projects. And I say, fabulous, that makes sense as a concept. I'm an executive recruiter, that's what I do, that's my day job. And most of what we do is place CIOs in their roles. So we work for CEOs and CFOs hiring CIOs. We also help CIOs fill out their executive ranks. So I'll go in and I'll talk to a CEO and say, okay, what are we trying to solve for? Now sometimes the CIO who has vacated the position was beloved and moved on, even in the organization, to greener pastures, and everyone's sad, and then they want me to clone that person, which of course is challenging. There are ethical implications I've learned to cloning, so I don't do that. But as often as not, something didn't work out. So I'll say, well, what happened? And it's, well, that ERP upgrade didn't go well. Oh, there was a mobile deployment that cost more than we thought it would. We're not getting the business benefits from the CRM system. Wait a minute, I thought these were business projects. If these are business projects, why is it that the CIO is the one getting fired when the project doesn't go well? So I moderated a panel of CFOs, and I asked them, if you could change one thing about your CIO, what would it be? And the CIO was not present, by the way, so they felt that they could be somewhat candid. And what they said was transparency, communication. I sign a check, and I don't know where it goes. I don't know why they're working on what they're working on. I don't know what they're working on. I don't know where the value is for the money. And that's one kind of transparency. And for that, I would say, I don't really understand why that's such a challenge, because if there's a good portfolio management process, everybody should have a clear view of what the IT organization is working on and why. And in fact, it shouldn't be the IT organization selecting projects. It should be, you know, stakeholders from across the business. Point number one is, don't mistake governance for transparency. Point number two is, it's about those honest conversations with the other stakeholders that makes a project and a success and allows you to get out of this paradox. And point number three, the only reason I'm putting point number three in here is I really love this quote, and I want to use it, so I have to make a point around it. So here's the quote. The quote is, and this is from Stuart McGuigan, who's the CIO of J&J. He says, blaming business problems on IT systems is the last refuge of a scoundrel. And I thought that was great because it has kind of a Victorian flair to it, which I really enjoyed. Every CIO who takes on a new job that I talk to is struggling with how do you align IT to the business so that the relationships happen at every level? We want to turn our IT organization from order takers to order shapers. That's a phrase I hear a lot. And I would say in doing that, there's lots of roles that are important, but the single most important role to my mind is the business relationship executive. This is the person who's got one foot in IT and one foot in some dedicated part of the business. It could be finance, it could be marketing, or it could be a line of business. The most effective way to do this is to reach into the business and find people who you think have the aptitude and appreciation for the many skills it takes to be in an IT organization and build some kind of rotational program. Once a CIO gets a reputation for being operational and efficient and keeping things as cheap as possible, cheap and cheerful, their ability to sort of create a vision for the future and get everybody to see it can be damaged. Every company becomes a technology company. The chameleon thing is, if you've got the innovation gene and you can develop products and your company sees you that way, your star is going to rise and you're going to have all of the product technology areas, functions. But if you're more operational, you're not really on the innovative product side, or your company doesn't see you that way, your future is Chief Shared Services Officer, Chief Business Process Officer. These are roles I'm starting to see. So the trick to solving this one, the cost versus innovation from a career perspective, knowing what your skill set is, knowing how you're perceived, and knowing in your company which path is more viable for you. If you're not successful 3 years from now, you look back, and you're not successful in doing this, what will it have been? Your team, your ability to be strategic, resources, the technology? He said, no, it'll be my ability to influence and explain to the rest of the executive committee this paradox and what they need to do to close this gap. CEOs are hungry for data, but some do not recognize that it is the IT organization that can provide them with this. Some think they need to go out and find another executive who's going to be responsible for, the digital strategy officer. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about that role. So I would say most CEOs know that they want technology. A lot of it is around data, but they are of different minds as to whether their CIO and the IT organization is going to be providing that to them, or whether they now need some other kind of executive. Again, depends on the relationship with the CIO, depends on the industry. Thanks so much for your time and attention. I've enjoyed being here. Thank you.